I got fired. And this wasn't one of those surprise fired. This was one of those fires you knew you was about to get fired, right? So I had a background in banking. And I graduated from Kane University in 2007. Shout out to Kane University. Now, in '08, I moved down to Charlotte, North Carolina, and my first job was $10 an hour. I stayed there for about 3 months, and then I started working in the Wachovia headquarters, aka Wells Fargo ended up buying them. For those who don't know, Charlotte, North Carolina is the number 3 biggest banking city today, but back then it was the number 2. But Wells Fargo bought Wachovia. So I had a banking background, never had a good job. I was in the call centers, right? So I did 2 years at the call centers in Wells Fargo, and then I did 1 year at TIAA CREF, right? They would have fired me, but they were some pretty nice people and they just laid me off. You know what I mean? I was so terrible of an employee, right? They told me in November not to come back to work anymore. They were going to keep me on payroll to January. The severance package was only about 3 weeks, you know? So I thought that was nice of them. And, you know, they just laid me off. So I got this job. I'm not going to say the company name, but the parent company was BB&T, which is probably like a medium-sized bank in the South, and I think they have some locations in the Midwest, right? That was the parent company, and I worked processing life insurance, okay? The way I was able to get this job is because at my last job, I transitioned from phones to processing. Now, at this particular place, when I was shopping my resume around, what I did was I have found a resume online, right? Like on the internet, it said Microsoft Suite Professional, right? And I'm like, yo, that sounds good. I need that title, Microsoft Suite Professional. Now, I know damn well I can't do no Excel. I mean, you fast forward today, I still can't do Microsoft Excel. I'll pay somebody to build out spreadsheets or whatever. So anyway, I started this job in January of 2012, right? I started this job and I was getting trained by somebody's mouth. So there was no video modules. It was just a training by what somebody was telling me. And apparently I just wasn't catching on. And the person, you know, they probably really didn't like me. I don't know why. And I ain't gonna say I was innocent because I was kind of wilding. What I mean by I was wilding, I used to be printing out real estate ebooks from the job and all that. You know what I mean? I was young. I was in my 20s. I did not know. You know what I mean? Well, I knew, but I ain't know how to act right. You know what I'm saying? So I used to be printing out real estate ebooks for their printer because, you know, I ain't had no printer. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and if I did, why use my ink when I could use theirs? But I got caught. I guess I left something at the printer too long and somebody, you know, ended up, you know, telling on me or whatever the case may be. But I got written up for that. And then I got written up for a few other things. And most of the stuff was my fault. I was like, one of the things I got written up for was I used to come in and not swipe my badge so they know I'm here. But fortunately, one of the managers said, hey, I know he's not late to work because when I come in at 8 o'clock, he's already at his desk. So I know that's not the issue. So they was just, you know, swipe your card, whatever, right? But the main issue that I was having at the job, I just couldn't do the job. The job wasn't for me. I done lied to these people and told them I could do the Microsoft Excel suite, knowing I was not telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? So they had me on final write-up from probably like May up until they cut the puppet strings, right? They was like, yo, listen, this is a final write-up. What you gonna do is you gonna come in this office every Friday. Bro, I felt like a kid in grade school. Like every Friday I come in, report, and we gotta do my progress report. And they like, all right, you know, okay, we'll see you next Friday. You did a good job. We'll see you next Friday. You know what I mean? So, or sometimes like, okay, well, you're just gonna improve next Friday, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm just dealing with it. And my manager was based in California. She like, yeah, you better do what you need to do to keep this job. You don't want to be looking for a job in this economy. And I'm thinking to myself, like, man, if only I knew I got this dream of being a real estate investor, but whatever, they was treating me like, yo, this job was going to be it for me. Whatever. A few months go by, right? Now, we're in the middle of the summer. I never forget this, right? I got 2 job offers because I was shopping my resume around because I was kind of stressed and shook. I ain't gonna lie, I was stressed and I was shook at the time. Like, bro, I don't want to get fired. Let me see if I can get into one of these jobs. So somebody else, they offered me another job. I was making $38,000 a year at that time. That's my highest paying job with my college degree. So I was making $38K a year. Somebody else temp agency was like, yo, we got a job for like $19 an hour. And then somebody else offered me a position as financial advisor. So I was talking to a friend of mine, right? And I was telling them what I was going through. And me and her, we still talk to this day. She's from Jersey. Shout out to Wendia. She told me, she said, hey, Nasser, you're only going to be 29 once. You can always go back and get a job. And the reason why she said that, because I was telling her about my dream of being a real estate investor. And I was telling about these wholesale deals of me wholesaling real estate. And, that I was getting some checks in. And I was telling her I really didn't want to, go to another job. And I was like, you know what? So I told both jobs, no, I didn't want to go to. I was like, yo, I'm going to just stay here and let them cut the puppet strings. September comes around, right? I asked them, I said, hey, can I take off for my grandfather's funeral? It was on a Friday. You know what I'm saying? The funeral was like Monday. I guess they was like, listen, man, you know what? You could stay with him for a week here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? But they ain't say it at the time. They made me work the whole day, son. They made me work the whole day till like 4:45 or something, right? Called me in the office, had my supervisor in California on the phone and whatever, and they finally cut the puppet strings, right? So I'm like, all right, well, cool. I wasn't mad at nobody. I thanked everybody for the opportunity. Appreciate it. I got into my car. It was like 4:52 or something like that. I was like 4:52. I said to myself, like, yo, I never want to get another job again, or I never want to be in that position again, right? And I was like, yo, I'm going to put my all into this real estate thing, okay? So I have not had a job since September of 2012. So this September, that would be 13 years I have not had a job, and I've been working for myself. I'm not a realtor, I'm a real estate investor. And wholesaling houses has changed my life, guys. I don't know if you heard about this strategy in real estate that allows you to get in with no credit. You know what I mean? A little bit of money, and basically you're selling contracts to another investor and making the spread. So for example, right, you might get a contract for a house for $40,000. You know this house is worth $100,000, but you sell it to this investor for $50,000, making yourself $10,000, and the seller gets their $40,000. That person gets the house, they fix it up and do what they need to do, right? And you move on and rinse and repeat. After I got fired, right, from my highest paying job, right, making $38,000 a year, that November I had my biggest check with wholesaling real estate, which was like $10,000, guys. So listen, sometimes being fired is a blessing, but you got to be able to look forward to the next day. You can't focus on what happened. Me, I was one of those people that had a plan prior to getting fired. So therefore, when I went to my grandfather's funeral and everything, and I attended all that, when I got back to my apartment, I wasn't twiddling my thumbs. I knew exactly what I had to do. I didn't want anyone to feel sorry for me. Sympathy was not going to help. That was not going to help the situation, okay? Please don't feel sorry for that. That don't do nothing for me. So I didn't tell my family. I didn't tell my parents or nothing like that. I didn't tell my father or my family that I got fired because I ain't want no sympathy. However, the things that helped me was reading books. I was heavy into self-development, and I had this skill. And then I took action. I didn't sit around typing, hoping everything works out. And I see a lot of people when it comes to planning or, making out the 10 steps, what they need to do, they're good at it. But when it comes to taking action, they don't do it. So listen, you got to believe in yourself and you got to be able to take action. Now, if you're interested in learning more about wholesaling, I'm opening up my community. Check out that pinned comment. Guys, I have not had a job in 13 years due to wholesaling. I'm Nasser, AKA the real estate guru. I'm not a guru, I'm a duru because I actually do this business. And check out the original video I made back in 2013 next to me. Peace.